to.
Hi, I'm Chris Brogan doing Facebook Live on location with Jack. This is my first time doing the news from Jack's house. Good to see you. So yeah, this is the Facebook stuff. That's the Facebook stuff. These are my buttons.
Right, that was the thing that I hit, was the eyeball.
Yeah, don't hit that.
I won't hit the eyeball.
So for Facebook news for today, this is something that you can go and follow along with. If you want to go to the links, you can go to chrisbrogan.com/cbm. It looks like this. Once you get there, you can then take a look at what I've got covered for you today. So all of the articles are all listed here, so you can pick them out whenever you want. So without any more further ado, why don't we get to the very first story? I found this to be exciting because I always love when you can see stories about developing places. And this is a woman who brought 5 million new entrepreneurs onto the map. I'm pretty sure you didn't do that this week. This is a person who works at Facebook who brought a lot more of her skills to bear of the favelas of Brazil, the poorest parts of Brazil, and brought 5 million new entrepreneurs to light. And so she has done great stuff. This is a beautiful story because not only is she bringing technology to a place that doesn't normally have that kind of technology, but of course this is going to give these people a lease on building and putting together stuff. So Jacqueline, being of Brazilian heritage, appreciated that story. That's actually not why I picked it out, but I do love stories of developing nations and what they're doing to make it work.
Oh look, there's Don's. Okay, sorry, I'm learning the eCam stuff. So hi Don, there's Don's little comment.
So this is 2 in a row that you have impacted because you texted me to death. Remember I said yesterday I'm going live and you were in the middle of your situation at work?
Yes.
So you texted me just as I went live, so I had to be face down answering my text. This is twice in a row.
Sorry.
Don't wreck tomorrow's. All right. So
okay, bye.
Bye. All right. We're going to move to the next one. This is another story of stuff going on in a different place. 100 founders are now going to get paid to move to work in Buenos Aires and bring all kinds of technology value to that city. There's a lot of stuff going on in South America and Central America about all kinds of cultures, developing really rich, lustrous startup communities. But I found it cool that they're actually spending money trying to build an incubator program and get more people to come to Buenos Aires. So once you have enough people around, once you have that kind of ground swell, as certain people call it, there's a cool opportunity to this because you'll be surrounded by more people. And then, of course, all the resources are there and you get a much better opportunity to build from there. Moving on in the news, as you know, I'm very interested in the smart speaker application space, things like Alexa and all that. This is a story saying that Google's Assistant is coming to a lot more smart speakers, including washing machines and vacuum cleaners, so that you can OK Google all you want to a lot of variety of things. Now, normally it's just in this thing over here that looks like an air freshener to me, but it turns out that there's going to be a lot more ways that you can interact and connect with Google. And I find it cool because the one thing I can tell you is that Amazon Alexa works really, really great, or the Echo, I guess, works really, really great with specifics to buying Amazon products, which I do a lot. But it was starting to kind of bug me that some of the queries weren't really so great. And if I ask it questions, sometimes it just doesn't really know because it uses Bing as its primary search engine. So that might be something to look at. Don asked the question, when is Jack going to do her eCam live show? I wrote her a script for one yesterday, but she doesn't read my blog anymore. But if she did, she would have seen that I wrote her something.
You did?
I did. So, still going on in this conversation about what's going on with these speakers, though, this is interesting because Alexa is not going to take this lying down. This is what happens to be what Amazon is going to do. And it is, Dawn, I'm at a different house. That's why I'm able to say her name, because usually I just call her she who can't be named. So first off, how is Amazon going to fight back? Well, they now sell the Alexa at Whole Foods. Steve Garfield confirmed this. Our local reporter, Steve Garfield, confirmed this at the local Whole Foods. You can find fresh pics of the day. So that's interesting. Microsoft and Alexa just signed a deal. Bezos and Satya Nadella just signed a deal that Alexa is now best friends with Cortana, which is good, thank God, because Cortana is a big bag of crap. But what this means is there's much more connectivity now out there for Amazon Alexa, and so there's going to be a lot more opportunity to have it fight back. So I think that's a particularly interesting piece to watch. Pay close attention to that. Next up is a little bit of a story about how this company, Fader, did a good job of turning their culture into a commercial success. So there's a video interview on this from Fast Company magazine. What's cool about the storyline is that this is a cultural magazine, And what they ask in the interview is they ask the question, how did you stay so connected to music culture? How did you do so well to keep making this a business? And one of the things was that they started from what they were into first. They started from what they thought was the most important business idea first, of this culture was what they were most into, and then they built from there. If you were going to build a business around a product or service, everyone says do what you're passionate about. It's not exactly true. It's do what people need or want or whatever. People will always have an interest in what's current in culture, and people will always have an interest in finding kind of the new and the best in a certain space. That's how they were able to do what they did. The article, though, is just really fascinating to me. I think it's worth checking out for yourself. Just dig into the comments really quick. I recently got a Fire tablet which has Alexa. I haven't tried it yet. Oh, it's a lot of fun. Hi, Don Stanley. Good to see you, brother. How are you? So, this is a good story. This is important all the way around. Now, it's talking about how to teach kids, but remember that every time somebody says how to teach kids, that the real story also is how to teach grown-ups. So this is how to teach kids to stick up for their marginalized peers. A lot of times we tell people, hi, John, a lot of times we tell people, kids, if you ever see someone being bullied, you've got to take an action here and solve that problem. But we don't actually give them the tools to do it. And so this article goes through a whole conversation about what kinds of tools a kid's going to need to make these decisions. One is explaining how to explain empathy and how to build that out, because it's definitely one of those things that kids don't immediately and naturally know. Number two, this is most important to me, give them specific language to use. So for example, if Lily hears someone say, that's so gay, or that's retarded, or make a racist joke, Lily will often say, hey, what does that mean to you? Why is that funny? And so, they'll always say something back like, oh, well, whatever, I was making a joke. And then Lily will say, well, it wasn't very funny. And kids can also say, you sound like a bully. So when you call it out, it most definitely gives it a definite tone, right? So this is a story worth checking out, and maybe sharing and communicating with your kids and or your grown-ups, right? There's office circumstances that happen the same way, where we're not sure how we're supposed to react when someone says something that could be racist or offensive in some other way. Oh, hey, Don, I'm really glad you're doing Ecamm Live. That's great. Make sure you swing by chrisbrogan.com and look at the 21 shows that I want you to make, because I bet you'll have an idea for the show I want you to make. And yes, thank you, John. I really appreciate that as well. Don says, I've said that I'm baffled with why Alexa doesn't pull results from the electronic text Kindle versions of all the books they carry, quote the resulting answers, and then offer to add the book to your answer. Oh, my gosh. That would be an insanely, Jacqueline already has a purchasing problem with books. I can't imagine if Alexa was reading her little snippets and then saying, want me to add this to your cart? Yes. You'd be doomed. Hey, Brendan, this is a good question. So I've got a bunch of tabs and I'm switching. The software that I'm using is right here, Ecamm Live. So go to cbrogan.me/Ecamm Live. It works on Macs. So if you're a PC guy, I'm so sorry. You can't use it. But it is so simple, so easygoing, such a lightweight piece of software. And I'm working with the company, but I'm working with the company because the guy who runs the company lives in my neighborhood, helps out kids a lot, has the original product that I've used for years, Call Recorder for Skype, and this is how they do best Facebook Live for Mac. So everything you see on here is being run through Ecamm Live. I'm just popping it back and forth to this Google Chrome, and I've got a whole bunch of stories that I've already picked out. The way I pick out the stories is every morning I read a whole bunch of stories anyway, so now I've started saving ones that I think you might find interesting, and then I put them into a format so you can come and look at it yourself. So I set up a page. I'll show you the page really quickly. Boop. So I set up a page here. It's chrisbrogan.com/cbm, and I have all the articles. And so then right before I go live, I click a tab for every single one of these articles, and then I just work my way down through that whole set. And that way we can find out what's new and interesting that I find interesting and that we share. There's always a mix of culture, almost always something to do with food, future stuff, usually some kind of a weirdo thing, and of course a little bit of business, because that's what people maybe come to me for. Now, speaking of interesting culture stuff, Hatsune Miku turns 10. I don't know if anybody else here knows Hatsune Miku. I bet Jack probably knows the name but is smiling politely like, I'm not sure who he means. Fans have come out and crowdfunded a Hatsune Miku shrine in Korea for $40,000. Basically in a very famous train station, very popular train station, I should say.
Isn't it like a fake person?
It's a fake person. She's called a Vocaloid. And they, so what's interesting about Hatsune Miku, I'll see if I can zoom in just a little bit more. She's usually shown with blue hair. She's called a Vocaloid. John Harrison puts a smiley face because he knows right away. she's not a real person. She's an amalgam of several people. She's a marketing icon, right? But she's just like a cartoon. But she's not just a cartoon because she's a hologram that they bring out to live concerts with big air quotes, and people pay real live concert money to go and watch her do her thing. A pop idol, as they say in that culture. And as William Gibson wrote about a little bit around the time this trend was starting, but before it got as far as it did. Now, here's the really fascinating thing to me about the Hatsune Miku product. It is owned by sort of a small conglomerate of people, but it is funded and fueled by fans. Fans write Hatsune Miku songs. Fans create Hatsune Miku art, and then it gets made available to and for sale to other fans, where the fan doesn't necessarily make any money out of this. So it's this weird money-generating thing where fans are going, take my money and take my free creative stuff because we just want her to live on. And Hatsune Miku turns 10. What a crazy, interesting world we live in.
Go girl.
Go girl, says Jack. Now, speaking of crazy and interesting, are you throwing your garbage away? You could be drinking it. This California distillery has created a vodka from food waste. You heard me. They have an idea to take things like old bread and Twinkies and turn them into vodka. Basically, you could distill vodka from anything that has a lot of sugars in it. And so they decided, we have a lot of food waste. Why don't we do something with that? It's the numbers on food waste every single day, I guess, in the U.S., 40% of food grown in the United States ends up in a landfill. So, not unlike Hatsune Miku, why not make vodka out of it? So, it's an interesting story, a weird story. Not quite sure I'm ready to drink trash vodka. But really, if you look at how most of the alcohols and liquors of the world are made, they're also from Twinkie vodka. Jack says she might be down for that. So it's an interesting premise. Who knows? And speaking of something scary, this is according to the nice people at Inc. magazine. They call this scary. Something scary is happening to your Doritos. And it's happening to Cheetos too. I love this because it's so like, you know what they're doing? They're releasing organic versions of the products. Tostitos, Doritos, and Cheetos are going to have fully organic, beautifully made from all naturally kind of things, delicious, trashy chips, and you're going to love it. And my guess is that it's going to taste a heck of a lot better than some of the other alternatives because it's not a super low-fat light version or anything with some weird chemicals in it. It's the opposite. It's the all-natural thing that people have been asking for, and now we'll put our money where our mouth is because we'll see whether or not that actually gets sold that way. Watch out for Panera Vodka coming soon. And yeah, the drinking garbage teaser was that, Brendan. I was doing my best to lead with a good news story. I hope it worked. Don says, cool idea, but no thanks. I will go with Cricket protein bars. Yeah, we've been covering on this channel, Don, the fact that Bill Gates and Richard Branson have invested a lot of money into synthetic lab-grown meat products. And I think that, bug-based protein might be a better source. I covered that a little bit as well. But I think that, maybe some plant-based in our life, that might help as well. John asked the question, are Cheeto smoothies next? I think that might be possible. So that's it. I've covered all the news I wanted to cover with you. If you liked this and you want to talk about it, you can go to chrisbrogan.com/CBM to check out any of the stories that you see there. You can find out a little bit more by clicking the links and checking out the original articles that I found. Like I said, this is made by me just taking a look at the news that I find is interesting and sharing it with you. I built it on Ecamm Live. You can build your own just by going to cbrogan.me/Ecamm Live. Pick up this really useful, easy-to-use piece of software if you're on a Mac. And I am so grateful that you're here. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for your time. I'm Chris Brogan.